Here we go. We are now live. There we go. All right. So it's me, DC Heavy Metal Chris, with Rich Johnson here of Agoraphibic Nosebleed, and they are playing the Black Hat on this Saturday, May 21st. And this is going to be their first show that hasn't been at a festival. So they're kind of a local band, so that's cool that they're kind of doing this here in DC. So to start things off, I kind of wanted to ask, Agoraphobic has been a band since, 94, 96 or something?
Whenever it was.
Whenever it was, sometime in the 90s. So you guys have been playing some festivals here. I know you guys played the Housecore Horror Fest, you played Maryland Death Fest, Netherlands Death Fest. So why have you guys just started playing shows kind of almost out of the blue lately?
I wouldn't say it's out of the blue exactly, because we've been talking about this for a really long time. We had gone back and forth for years about whether we should play shows or not. Sometimes we said we should, and other times we said we shouldn't. And for a while we were talking about it being a live band with a real drummer and have a full lineup. So the last few years, Scott Hall, figured out, okay, if we're going to do this technologically, this is the way I want it to be done, because it'll represent how I want in my head, Agoraphobic to be represented live. So he sorted all that out when we decided, okay, we're going to play Death Fest, because there's some places that have been trying to get us to play, and we always said no. Yeah,
it was kind of a joke for a while that you guys would just never play a show,
Because we'd say we don't play shows, we're a studio band,
Yeah.
Either that or we'd explain, well, maybe we would, but we don't know how to pull it off, so no. We'd say that too, because that was actually the case.
Yeah.
So finally we said yes.
Awesome.
So then, we all these other offers for festivals kept coming up, and plus one-off shows. Mm-hmm. And to all of them we said, look, we got to play this first show, which is Maryland Death Fest. We're not going to agree to anything else until we do that, because we have to make sure it's going to work.
All right, so you guys didn't even know if you played even the Netherlands Death Fest or anything at that point?
No, we didn't agree to anything because it could have been a disaster. We said, okay, well, that was a grand experiment. It sucks. We're not doing this again.
Cool. Well, I guess it went well enough that you guys wanted to do more shows, and that's cool.
It was okay.
I had a lot of fun. That was the best show, probably the whole Death Fest last year. Definitely one of the highlight sets of the year.
There was a lot of anticipation. People would tell me afterwards, I've only been waiting 15 years to see you guys play, which is really awesome, totally awesome,
Yeah.
I love it.
That's cool. I'm sure a lot of people came out, if nothing else, just to see you guys, too. So. Yeah. Now, there was something with a grind documentary or something. Were they filming that or something?
Well, so Slave to the Grind, I guess they were filming it. I'm not actually sure, but we did 2 interviews for that.
Yeah.
For the Slave to the Grind thing. And then, at the time, I guess it was still called Handshake, Dave Hall's enterprise. Yeah. Now it's called Uneasy Sleeper.
Yeah.
He filmed it, and we're going to do something with that, but we're still working on it.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to be in the Slave to the Grind documentary.
Cool. So are they going to be filming the show at the Black Cat coming up this weekend?
Yeah, so I guess Pit Full of Shit's going to record it, right?
That's an awesome name, by the way.
The Metal Injection sub.
Yeah, I know they are. Yeah. You can't say it with a straight face. You can, apparently.
Well, I spent half my time telling what it was called, so then I didn't have time to laugh about it. Yeah. And we're going to film that one, too.
Cool.
I don't know what's going to get done with it. Maybe Metal Injection's going to post it. I don't know.
Yeah. Cool. So also, we're here at DC Brau today, so... one thing I wanted to do was try some beers with Rich. Now, he says he's not the biggest beer fan, but I figured...
we would drink these.
Yeah, we're not drinking all these, man. I'd like to, but not today. Not today, man. I'm not trying to wake up to that tomorrow.
Yeah.
But anyway, what kind of beer do you like? Because we've got this awesome mixed six-pack that the guys here at DC Brau let us try here with all these different kinds of beer. Do you like light stuff? You like dark stuff?
I don't
bitter?
No, so let's just try one.
All right, man. That's good enough for me. We're going to start off with this one, this is a cool cool little beer here. This is actually a collaboration between DC Brau and Port City, which are the two oldest breweries in this area. So it's kind of cool. They put out a beer together.
Yeah. It's good to be local.
So, yeah, that's a cool thing too, though. Like a lot of places, they might see each other as competitors and not necessarily work with each other, And it's cool that the guys that run these places are actually cool enough that they want to work together,
Yeah.
and help each other out. So it's a cool community that, again, you kind of see that in metal too, where instead of everybody trying to compete, you often see just the bands kind of coming together and putting on shows together and working together. Anyway, this is a Dunkel style, which is a German sort of dark beer, but it's not super heavy like a stout or a porter or anything. It's actually, I think it's a really good kind of sessionable beer, which means you can drink several of them in a row, as opposed to like a heavy stout that might make you full or something. But anyway, you want to try it? Let's have a sip of this. Cheers, man.
Oh, sorry.
We have a live studio audience today here.
Das ist wunderbar.
Yeah, there you go, man. Have you been to Germany?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Have you had any other beer there?
No. No, we had this marijuana beer. It had THC in it or something. It was green and had a big pot leaf on the label. That shit was awesome. Oh, did I say it was beer? I'm sorry, it was wine. It was marijuana.
Oh, whatever.
In a wine bottle.
At a certain point, it probably doesn't really matter with some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I guess what's the difference? It got us drunk.
Yeah, it gets you drunk. I mean, you're
at the same time.
not drinking the thing with a giant pot leaf on it because you think it might be non-alcoholic or whatever. It's not a Coca-Cola.
Right.
I got a few more questions because I wrote some down because I actually prepared. Oh yeah, so this is like you guys' first kind of hometown show. I know you guys played Death Fest in Baltimore, but this is like the first like in DC hometown show.
Yeah.
So is this going to kind of maybe lead up to a possible tour? Do you think you're going to be playing around other places?
So we had some ideas about doing some more one-offs, instead of just playing festivals. That's all we've got booked right now is Hellfest, Temples, Southwest Terror Fest, and California Death Fest. Mm-hmm. All fests.
Yep.
So maybe next year or later this year we can play some more clubs. Just like shoves. Play clubs.
That's cool. Oh yeah, one thing too is you're also in another band called Drugs of Faith. That's also a local band. And you have the awesomest nickname, which is the Grindfather. So I've always been kind of curious, where did you get the name the Grindfather? Where does that come from?
So it's funny because I was talking to Jake from Triac and a bunch of other bands about this, and he has a completely different recollection about this than I do.
Okay.
We were at practice because we were in a band together, and
speak up, Rich. Speak up.
Volume up.
Volume
you guys
up.
Hear us all right? I hope you guys can hear us all right. Shit.
So we were Jake from Triac and I we were in Triac together, but before that, we were at band practice, and I don't know. Somebody said something, and I said, "I'll make them an offer they can't refuse," and somebody said, "Oh, he's the Grindfather instead of the Godfather, right?" And then everybody laughed, and then it was the end of it. And then the next time we played a show, everybody's calling me the Grindfather. So then I repeated that to Jake once, and he goes, "No, that's not how it happened at all." And I can't remember his version.
All right, then. That's cool. So are you going to Death Fest this year?
I'm not going to the whole thing, which is a change, because usually I go to the whole thing.
Yeah. You're going to go see Discharge, aren't you?
Well, I'm only going to Friday at Soundstage.
All right.
Okay. And then Saturday...
Is that Infest? Who's the headliner Friday? I forget. Is that Infest?
So I guess Infest is playing, Repulsion's playing, Rotten Sound's playing,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good stuff as far as the grind goes this year. I'd like to go Sunday.
That new Rotten Sound album's pretty sick, too.
Yeah,
so.
because, Sanity's Dawn is playing on Sunday, but I'm not going to catch them, speaking of Germans. And then Saturday, Drugs of Faith is playing the Sidebar show.
Oh, cool. So you guys will actually be At the side. Okay, that's like the tie-in show they have.
The tie-in, yeah. The peripheral.
I wish they advertised those a little more, to be honest. I've seen some cool shows there during Death Fest, but I don't know, they don't market them that well, unfortunately. Let's see here. What are some other awesome questions I have for you? Oh, yeah.
I mean, so far the questions have been totally awesome.
Yeah, great.
Can we have another beer?
Yeah. What do you want to try here next?
You say.
Let's see here. We've got some. Let's try something. Let's go the complete opposite direction. Let's get this double IPA Rippa the Dippa going on here. This is a sick double IPA that they brewed with, I think, the Austin Brew Works or Austin Brewery, something like that. No, this is with Sun King Brewery in Indianapolis, actually. So anyway, this is going to be really hoppy, man. This is going to bite your tongue a little bit.
That's okay. I'm not even sure what hoppy means because I don't drink beer.
Well, you ever had like a Heineken or something?
Yeah.
That taste that a Heineken has? That's hops. That's what you're tasting out of that. But this is This is like a nuclear bomb Heineken, man. I'm telling you.
I don't listen to Pharrell. Is he the one that did the happy? Oh, that's what you were just saying. Okay, I'm so happy.
That's enough Pharrell.
Oh, yeah?
All right, well, cheers to this one too, then, man. This is Rippa the Dippa from DC Brau and Sun King.
You never think that Pharrell would be, subversive, but some Iranians filmed themselves dancing to that shit, and they got fucking thrown in jail and whipped.
For that song?
Well, I guess they can't dance. You can't dance.
Oh, yeah, I guess some of those...
Oh, cheers.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Cheers. I mean, if I have my story straight, I think that's a song that lives in the country. Now I'm starting to doubt myself. Maybe it's the beer.
This is a hoppy beer, It definitely has a much different taste than the Dunkel we just tried.
Yeah. I think I'll side with the Germans so far.
Yeah, hoppy beers, like the IPAs and stuff, are very popular these days. It's one of the more popular craft beer styles. Actually, it's probably the most popular craft beer style. But I'm going to be honest, I tend to like the darker stuff myself, too.
Yeah, sure.
I like, if it looks like motor oil, it's probably something I want to drink, is the way my general rule is in beer. But, everybody's got their own stuff, man. And in the summer, all the IPAs definitely come out. You're going to see them all over the store shelves and everything. Mm-hmm. And actually something that they are really good at making here is IPAs. All right, so let's see here. I really wanted to ask you, this has been all in the music news lately. What do you think about this whole reunion of the Misfits with Danzig? You a Misfits fan at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, I used to own Walk Among Us and, the live record and everything.
Speak up, Rich.
I'm being told to speak up.
Yeah, well.
Like he knows about Periscope.
I can't hear you sitting across the table.
Well, it should clean the wax out of your ears, maybe. Anyway, maybe it's the echo in the room. So everybody's accusing Danzig and Jerry. Is that the
Jerry
other one
only
that had to agree to the?
Well, it's also
because
Wolfgang von whatever Doyle, basically.
So
I guess.
Doyle was already playing with Danzig because of Samhain.
Yeah, but Doyle is Jerry Only's brother. So that's like the weird tie-in there, I think. So.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, after so many years of Danzig saying, no, it's not going to happen, and don't even ask me about Misfits and interviews and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know what the motivation is.
Well, I'm sure it has to do with money. I'm sure they, the old Krusty the Clown, they brought a dump truck full of money to my house, because it's not like they're doing a big tour with this. It looks like they're just doing these two shows. And I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh, I hope they tour after this, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to draw crowds like on a whole tour that would...
Oh, I'm sure they will. I mean, everybody loves the Misfits.
I'm sure they're asking for a lot of money to get those two on stage together. I mean, those guys do not like each other.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
Well, remember that old joke that...
I bought tickets. I'm going out to Denver to see them. So
okay.
I bought tickets. I was like, you know what, fuck it. So... maybe it's not going to be good, and maybe it'll be great, but I got tickets to the shit show, and we're going to find out. So.
What's the name of the comedian on Saturday Night Live that used to do the news? The one that would go, note the South.
Well, Norm Macdonald, maybe?
Was it Norm Macdonald? And he'd say, Germans love David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, right.
Him. He had this joke once. He said, the fourth monkey finally decided to agree to the Monkees reunion.
Yeah.
Meaning that he was the last one to run out of money.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, man. I mean, I'm sure they're going to make a lot of money. I wonder how much they're going to practice ahead of time together. I wonder what, like, are they really going to try to put on a show that people have been waiting to see for years? Or is this just going to be a cash grab where they haven't even talked to each other for months?
I mean, all they got to do is play Misfits, and that's it.
I know.
I mean, what show?
Well, when Samhain came on it was Halloween a year or two ago, and Danzig actually played a couple of Misfits songs, and the crowd lit up. That was the highlight of that show, I thought, for most people. It was you could feel the room gain energy
at the Howard Theater. Mm-hmm. I don't remember that. I saw the
show,
but I don't remember.
He played like 2 Misfit songs or something. I don't even remember what they were off the top of my head. I'm sure I wrote about them on Facebook or something at the time. And I remember people just going crazy. And to see a whole set of Danzig doing Misfit songs, something I never thought I'd see in my life, or ever, Right. That's something that I thought was long gone. So I think that's pretty exciting. He's older and I'm sure his voice isn't the same and stuff, but even just a chance to see it, I don't know.
Maybe they're only playing 2 shows because apparently that's what they used to do back in the old days. And I only know this because from reading Get in the Van.
Yeah.
You remember that story where Rollins was in some club that Black Flag was going to play, and then it turns out Misfits was on the bill and he didn't even know it. And he goes, this is odd because I thought they only played around Halloween. So would that like they played 1 show a year back then or something?
Yeah, something like that.
So maybe they're like, okay, we're just going to play 2 shows because that's what the Misfits is.
I mean, they're both Riot Fest shows. They're just in different cities. So it's like one is in Denver and the other's in Chicago like 2 weeks later. I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that is something where they're only going to play 2. I don't know if they're going to tour or not. It's one of those things where, I don't know. I got once to Denver. That's the first show. I figure, why the hell not, man? Let's go see something new, or not new. I guess see something old for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's getting back together. It's weird.
Yeah, Axl Rose and Slash back together.
So they got that. They got the GNR reunion. I mean, the Police got back together and toured.
Yeah.
Duran. I don't know if they ever stopped, but they've got something going on, I guess.
Agoraphobic Nosebleed has been playing shows now.
Yeah, but that's not a reunion.
No, not really, I guess.
Off the subject. And I mean, look at, A Tribe Called Quest did it, even.
Yeah, you're right.
So.
I mean, that's kind of thing. For the last 10 years, it's kind of been, everything's been kind of comebacks and reunions and stuff.
This is what I'm saying.
They're starting to really get a lot bigger, reunion. Like, you used to see, it's the return of Gorguts, which is cool. But now you're seeing, the return of Danzig with the Misfits. That's a much bigger, I think, deal,
Yeah.
But, I'm cool with the reunions. I don't know. I know a lot of people are like, it's not the same or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it's not. But,
It depends on how they do it. I mean, Godflesh is the same because it's just the same 2 dudes.
Yeah.
I guess that wasn't complicated.
Yeah.
They're using a laptop instead of a drum machine. That's the thing that's different,
Yeah. I guess with a lot of that stuff, it's, I don't know. I mean, I guess part of it's the money, but I guess with the internet, too, a lot of people have been exposed to bands they wouldn't have before. And I don't know. I mean, everybody hates the internet because of all the piracy and stuff, but on the other hand, people are being exposed to more music than they've ever had the chance to before.
Yeah, sure.
And that's kind of the other side. I mean, you see some of these weird bands coming to the Death Fest and stuff, and, they wouldn't ever have a chance to even have an audience here, if it wasn't. Like, I saw Melakesh play Death Fest one year, it's like, nobody here would even know who they were if it wasn't for the internet,
Yeah.
And a lot of bands like that, there's all kinds of obscure little weird bands. There's what's that band from Saudi Arabia that came over, played Death Fest?
Something Waste.
Yeah, Creative Waste. That's what it is. Yeah, I mean, that's really cool, but it's like, that wouldn't have happened in the 90s or the 80s or, that kind of stuff wouldn't have really...
Well,
I suppose
those sort of things happen. It's just that
the underground tape trade, I suppose, could cause some of that. Like Vader got noticed and stuff that way. But.
Well, yeah, of course. So, I mean, everybody toured and everything. It's just that it was a lot harder to coordinate and make sure that shit was actually happening.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, too.
They have to make phone calls and write letters.
Yeah.
And fax instead of just text each other and everything and write emails.
And wait for the snail mail to arrive internationally. That was always a big thing. So you want to try another beer here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to pull my favorite one out of here.
Okay.
This is a collaboration they did with Cigar City. And that's a brewery down in Tampa, Florida, the home of death metal. Yeah. And Cigar City is actually known for making one of the world's best stouts. It's called Hunapoo, and people, you pay $200 to buy a ticket, and you line up, people line up just for the chance to buy this stuff because it's awesome. Wow. And this is not a Hunapoo, but this is a collaboration with the brewery that makes it, and it is a stout. And this is my favorite one out of this. It's got a very, very awesome can too, by the way. It's called The Wise and the Lovely. It's got a very, very dark, rich flavor like most stouts do. But where some of them these days have been going very coffee or very,
going very what?
They add like a coffee flavor to them, kind of like profile, or chocolate has been used a lot with them too. This one has a very tobacco-y flavor, which is something that Cigar City kind of does to all theirs. It's got a very wet tobacco flavor. Yeah, it is. It is kind of
wet tobacco. That doesn't seem appetizing.
Try a sip of it though.
It's where they rolled the cigars in Ybor City.
There you go.
Cheers. So there's
Thanks,
a long history of cigars in Tampa.
There you go. See, I didn't even know all that.
Now
I
you
just
do.
know I know about the long history of death metal from
That
Tampa,
too.
and that's about it. Not gonna lie, but you taste it's got a little bit of that.
It's got an interesting flavor to it.
Yeah.
There's a few things going on.
It's very rich, very heavy too. It's hard to you can really take a 6-pack of this to the head. It's also like 9 or 10%, I think. So.
I still went up to side of the German so far out of it.
The Dunkel, the one with Port City, yeah, that's a good beer, man. I mean, I would like to say they're all good beers. I like them, but it's a pretty special thing they did with their 5th anniversary to do 5 beers like that.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing. All right, so so speaking of the beer and the metal stuff, Three Floyds makes the Pig Destroyer beer Permanent Funeral. And I know Scott Hull, guitarist of both Pig Destroyer and Agoraphobic Nosebleed, is into beer.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's any chance there could be like an Agoraphobic Nosebleed beer in the works from anywhere? Have you heard anything? Like maybe a red ale would make sense,
I haven't, but I hope not.
You hope not?
I'm not interested.
Why? You don't want a beer that you probably get for free? All right, you don't want an Agoraphobic Nosebleed in a can?
I just don't want to get on that. I'm just not interested in getting on that train,
Yeah.
I mean, Iron Maiden's got a beer, the truth.
Yeah, their beer tastes like piss.
Does it?
Yes.
And Sabbath, and everybody's got a beer. So
Sabbath has a beer? I haven't seen the Sabbath beer.
Well, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. And I don't know. So everybody's got a beer, so we don't have to have
Yeah, a lot of them are kind of like micro one-off things. The Pig Destroyer one's cool because they actually keep that in production because it's a really good beer. But some of the other ones are kind of, they make one and then they kind of get rid of it. I remember I was talking to Jason Netherton one night because some brewery in Texas made a Misery Index stout. I love stouts and I love Misery Index, so I was like, hey, can you bring one of those over? I was assuming he had a bunch. And he was like, yeah, the brewery never actually sent us any, and it's kind of...
What a ripoff, man. The band doesn't even get it.
I know. He was like, I'd love to, but what can you do?
Not drink the beer, I guess.
I know. I was like, I'd like to try it, but so a lot of them, I think, it's these small brewers that don't make a lot and whatever. So I mean, yeah, you hear about all these bands getting beers, but then they're pretty much unavailable. So I don't know. It's a weird thing, but you're right. There are a lot. There's the Aussie beer in Baltimore they were making, but that was like
maybe that's what
not
maybe
not
I was thinking of that instead.
Licensed or whatever. They were just making an Aussie beer.
Maybe the beer went missing and then they didn't know where it was.
Yeah, right. Oh man, I don't know what's going on with Ozzy and all that right now, man. I was at pumping gas the other day at the gas station.
And you saw him?
And they had like entertainment to television, whatever, on the pumps all have like the entertainment news on there. And they're talking about Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon Osbourne and breaking up and all this shit. And I was like, I never thought I'd see the day where I fucking pumped gas and they were talking about the minutia of Ozzy's relationship with Sharon on my gas pump. Like,
He's like, he's a pop star. I mean, she did Dancing with the Stars, right? Or her kid did.
Well, I think because of
And
the
she was on The
Osbourne
Voice
show.
or
The
whatever the
Osbourne
fuck,
show is
and that
really
too.
what brought them into the mainstream. Because that was
So-
kind of the first, like, celebrity reality show. There were reality shows, but they didn't have celebrities really on. Maybe hosting, but not, like, following them around their house and stuff. And I think that kind of, they got them a mainstream audience, whereas all of a sudden, there's all these people who are like, hey, isn't that the guy that you got all those shirts from and shit? I'm like, yeah, but I don't care about his show and his dogs. Like,
I don't know. I turned on one of his Osbourne's episodes, and they were.
it's a
deciding what they were
reality
gonna
show.
Do,
it's-
do with the show, and there was Bubbles, right?
Yeah.
They were going to
Bubbles,
shoot Bubbles.
Sharon.
And
I'm
Sharon,
the Prince of fucking Darkness.
this is the episode, and I'm like, no, you're not, not anymore.
Whatever, man. Fuck, dude. I still thought it was pretty cool, I mean, I didn't really watch it a ton, but it was so cool that, like, somebody metal was in the mainstream, I guess, for once, instead of, just another Justin Bieber or Britney Spears or whatever, like, well, at least it's somebody I know about, like.
I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name. Is it Nergal?
The guy from Behemoth? Yeah.
Him
I don't
being
know
in
the
the
proper
main-
name.
Him being in the mainstream.
Adam
I think,
Darsky, I believe.
I think is a lot more interesting. I think that's a lot more strange than Ozzy
Yeah,
being
I think he's bigger in the mainstream in Europe. I don't think.
That's what I'm talking about. like
Yeah,
in his
because he's
home
married to
country.
that model or something. He's married to
That's-
some. Yeah.
And he was on one of those TV shows and everything.
Yeah. That. Although I'll tell you, with him too, with the whole, like sickle cell syndrome or
Yeah.
something. When that happened, that really kind of hit the press in a different way. And I remember him asking for people to give donations, bone marrow donations or something. I remember like a wave of people did. And it was kind of this odd story. I remember like telling my parents and stuff, I'm like, yeah, this guy, this like satanic black metal band from Poland started a wave of bone marrow donations like in the Western world. Which is kind of cool, it's not something you see a lot like that. And it's not like he was out doing PSAs on TV or on the radio or something. It was like, this was just like word of mouth of him being in the press, basically, talking about the problems he was having. And that's kind of cool. It is a very underground way to do something, but it affected, I'm sure, hundreds of people's lives, if not more. It's nice when metal does something awesome, I guess, so.
Let's have another beer to
All right, let's do this. All right, this one is completely the opposite way. This is probably the girliest beer of these, and it's got the pink,
in
can.
that case, I might actually like it.
Yeah, well, it's brewed like they put like hibiscus or something in it, a bunch of like flowers and stuff in it.
Okay.
So I'd say it's fruity, but it's not really fruity. It's more flowery, I guess. But
Same death.
this is going to be quite the opposite of a stout. It's almost like lemonade or something if you look at this stuff. I mean, it's clear, man.
That just
Not
looks like
clear,
beer.
it's like yellow. Well, all right.
Doesn't look
Have a
like-
sip.
It doesn't look like lemonade.
No, but it kind of tastes like lemonade, but not sour, if that makes any sense.
Did you show off the can?
I think I did.
Okay.
Here we go.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to the Pink Palette Jack.
Cheers.
Yeah, to our
Cheers.
live studio
Thank you.
audience.
Yeah. Instead of the studio, it's the live brewery audience. Is that it?
Yeah, exactly. What do you think of that one? See what I mean? It's not fruity, it's like floral, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
It's much lighter than the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, that I can kind of deal with. Yeah.
You like that one?
Yeah.
The Pink Palette Jack?
See, what did I tell you?
Hey, whatever, man.
I told you I might like it.
I think they're all good beers. This is a saison brewed with rose hips and hibiscus.
Okay.
I forget who the other brewery is on this one.
So it's a toss-up between this one and the German one right now.
Oh, yeah, so that's going to be the head-to-head so far.
It's the head-to-head, so we'll have to have the head-to-head at the end.
All right.
I'll keep this one close, and my enemy's closer.
Well, hopefully they're not hanging out here today. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about music. So, obviously,
yeah, we haven't talked about that yet.
Obviously, and again, we're here to help promote the Agoraphobic Nosebleed show that
right.
you will be performing with, and this Saturday at the Black Cat, May 21st, with Suppression, Fulgora, Tentacles of God.
That's right.
We'll all be playing as well. So, what have been some of your favorite releases this year of 2016? Besides the Drugs of Faith Cloud Rat split.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Did Pylon by Killing Joke come out this year?
I'm not sure if that was this year or not.
Well, anyway, I like that one a lot. And I always have a hard time with
What an
these
asshole.
things. Did the Voivod EP come out, this year or was that last year?
Voivod, that might have been last year, I think, because wasn't what's his name, the drummer was doing the new band this year.
Tau Cross, yeah.
Yeah, Tau Cross, so I would imagine that was last year.
It might have been last year. So it's funny because when Voivod played the Black Cat, speaking of the Black Cat,
That was a great show, by the way.
I went to the merch table.
With Vector.
Right, and I was gonna buy the new EP, right? But then they had the tab books, and I've got 2 of them, and they had the 3rd one, so I bought the tab book instead.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah. So what else came out this year?
I've been listening to that Cathalist. I don't know how the hell you say it. It's got a bunch of apostrophes and shit in their name. I don't know. It's like Cthulhuist. I don't know. It's an awesome album, though.
You know, at the last time I was at a death metal festival, which was Netherlands Death Fest, I was looking for the new Autopsy.
Oh, yeah.
And I was checking the bins, and it turns out it was vinyl only. And I was looking for it on CD, so I didn't find it.
Wasn't that one... was it an album? It was an EP or something, right?
I think it might be an EP.
Yeah, it wasn't a full
length.
length.
It's the Skull Grinder, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
EP,
I remember seeing the label, or like the cover.
Yeah. That's the name of the EP and not the box set, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure the name of the box set.
What else came out this year?
So much. And it's one of those things where it's like you get put on the spot and you're like, I don't even know what I've been listening to anymore.
It does happen every time. It's kind of stupid.
But like this awesome shit when no one's around.
When I'm at home, like I'm going to go, I should have said this, and this.
It's all good.
So this is going to be out of left field, but and this isn't even this year, but remember that movie Frank? You know, the thing with Michael Fassbender, and he had the big paper mache hat on.
I don't know.
And he was in this
movie.
weird indie band.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's a real band as well.
Right. So the soundtrack is awesome. Because it's in the movie, he's got this band, and it's this weird. It's like a noise band.
Yeah.
They're just doing shit like and shit like that, and that's the record, right? And they're playing a theremin and everything.
All right.
And that stuff.
The weird like. It's got the pole theremin.
Yeah. And that stuff's on the soundtrack. It's awesome. So that's my soundtrack recommendation for this interview is the soundtrack to Frank.
Because you're not going with Gummo. That's the one everybody seems to love.
Right.
So.
Right. What came out?
Well, have you seen any awesome concerts this year, at least, or bands at festivals or anything?
It's like you said. I really liked the Voivod show. And speaking of Voivod, I saw Tau Cross. They came
at the
came
Pinch
through DC.
Yeah,
that was totally.
When else
awesome.
are you going to see them at a place like that? You know,
right? And I guess the whole tour. I'm assuming is that way. They're just playing clubs.
I have no idea. I mean, that was like what do they call it? The pre-fest show for the Damaged City Fest or whatever.
Yeah.